like in any field, industrial and organizational psychology is something that is affected by historical events. One specific historical event that has affected industrial and organizational psychology and its research is the events of 9/11, according to Jacks and Brin. 9/11 is a terrible tragedy that happened to our country, and as a result of that, we, as industrial and organizational psychologists, have started researching the job insecurity aspect of human resources and job productivity. This is something that has come from the instability of 9/11 and also with the recession that occurred after 9/11, just having the ability to study the effects of 9/11 and what has taken place since then has been a focal point for industrial and organizational psychologists. There are several other things that have resulted in this experience and this tragedy that has affected the skill level and the jobs and performance of workers. And understanding that tragedies affect not only people in their personal lives, but also in their workplace is important for us as researchers. And looking at those things and diving into them and just seeing how something that tragic is still impacting us today and understanding what needs to happen if something like that were to occur again and how to make sure people feel secure in their jobs and would continue to want to come to work. Those are all aspects of industrial and organizational psychology. And those are just a few things that have come out of that one tragedy. There are several other historical events that I could name, but in my lifetime, that I believe is one of the most significant historical events that has affected industrial and organizational psychology. The socialization process for Liberty University and its graduate program is actually, I feel, very effective. I am a student who went to the campus for my initial graduate degree and now am finishing my second graduate degree online. And there are a few differences that I'd like to point out. So socialization for students on campus begins with students going to an orientation where you meet people who are in your same field and people who aren't. And that helps give that sense of community. And there are several people from that very first orientation that I was able to be a part of that I still speak to today, even now that I'm not in Virginia on campus. Aside from that, they are fairly good at keeping tracks and cohorts for each program. And again, I'm speaking on two different programs. So for the first program that I completed was exercise science, and I was in the same group of people from my first class to my last class, which helped for study skills. It helped for networking and job readiness. And they put us in groups and had various tasks for us to do that involved us getting out into the field itself and networking. For the online aspect of this program, the industrial and organizational psychology program, there was an online or orientation that you could be a part of. Several people that I've been in touch with were from that. And just discussion boards and having the ability to speak with people, email them, have WebEx meetings, that type of thing helps integrate you with your classmates. And then also things like the SIOP conference that's coming up, teachers making sure that you are aware of that and planning on going to that so that you can network and be ready and prepared for the job that you are wanting to jump into. I believe that socialization for Liberty University specifically is a phenomenal resource and one that should be noted. The family work conflict is something that is going to be a part of our lives from here on out, whether it is our own family work conflict or the family work conflict of our employees or those who are part of the organization that we're working for. It is very important for organizations to reduce or prevent this conflict as much as possible. It's something that may not be able to be completely alleviated, but it is something that organizations do have the ability to help reduce that conflict and that stress for individual employees. This is something that can be reduced by the simple act of employers or managers taking the time to make sure that their employees know that it's okay if that life happens and they need to take a minute, have mental health days. It could be a simple fact of asking how family is going, what's going on in their lives, just being open to the idea that they have lives outside of work and making sure that the employees understand that that is just as important as the organization they're working for. Something that we do know with family work conflict is if that balance becomes unequal, one of the things will suffer. And for the organization, we don't want productivity to suffer. And for their family, we don't want their family lives to suffer. So maintaining that balance and making sure that as an organization, we're adhering to whatever timeline it is that we've put in place for that employee. So not calling after hours about something or emailing, making sure that we're giving them their family time and making sure that they know that family is just as important as this organization. Boundaries are a big issue with some organizations, and just setting those for employees so that they don't feel like they have to be at work all the time. Missing out on that family time is a great way to reduce or prevent that family work conflict. If I were to develop a performance assessment program for employee development, I would focus on some of Murphy's List characteristics, and I would focus on specifically task-oriented behaviors and interpersonally oriented behaviors. In my opinion, those are the two things that employees are going to use the very most. So I would focus first on task-oriented behaviors and make sure that they're comfortable with the job that they are about to be doing and understand all of the different facets of that job. And then with the external side of that, the interpersonal orientation behaviors, they're going to be communicating through various levels of personnel and just understanding how to manage those conversations, and that line of communication is very important. This can be done through organizational citizenship behavior models, where employees will go through and learn how to have those conversations and make sure that they understand the interpersonal aspect of their job, whether they're working on a machine or working with the public daily. They are going to come in contact with people, and making sure that they understand their role in communication and what their communication can do for their job and for the company is a vital aspect. So while there are several different facets of program development, those would be the two facets that I would focus on if I was creating this performance-based program for any organization or company, just to focus on those two areas, because I feel like those are the two most vital to focus on. One form of counterproductive workplace behavior can be a result of a production constraint. So if an organization has a specific number of productivity that they're looking for each day or each week or each month, however it is that they um, identify that need, um, if there becomes a problem or employees start to become agitated for whatever reason, that is the first thing that they could start to sabotage. They can decide to stop showing up, therefore resulting in a lack of production. And that absenteeism can fall on other employees to have to pick up their load, which then will result in those employees getting burnout, and then we'll see absenteeism from them, and then it becomes this trickle effect where we have burnout employees and absent employees, and our production levels are going south. Um, and that is just one example of that counterproductive work behavior. There, it can result in just employees having no regard for that production number if they feel that the organization only cares about that number and not about their employees, which is not a position that organizations want to be in. Yes, we want to be productive, but the only way to be productive is to create an environment of safety and well-being for employees that know that they are cared for and know that while production is important and that's how the company continues to work, we also care about them as humans, and there's time outside of the workplace. So while production is necessary and vital for each organization, it does not come before the employee and what they need. There's a time and a place for different things, and making sure that we set those times for that conversation with employees is necessary so that it doesn't result in counterproductive work behavior.